Hello and welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this episode today on my video podcast. And man, it's going all right, I guess. But before we get started, you know how I always like to get my podcast video started, always with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, man. Well, so how's it going, man? It's going pretty good, I guess, huh? Man, it's cold here, man, in my city where I'm at. We don't usually get this cold, so, I'm coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, and we don't get too many cold days. You know what I mean? So today's kind of cold, for Texas, South Texas. But what's cool about today is that I this weekend here in San Antonio is a convention of the Esperanza group. They have a convention this weekend. It's a Narcotics Anonymous convention, and so I plan to go and attend some of the events tomorrow. It's a happening thing this weekend for addicts and those folks who are in their journey of recovery, and for the newcomer, man. This is a good weekend to get plugged in. So so just know that there's going to be a bunch of people out there, ready to help and ready to, take you under their wing. And if you're already in recovery, man, it's a good time to, bust the barriers down a little bit. You know what I mean? As I like to call it, this is a weekend to add a little bit more to my recovery arsenal, if you will. You know what I mean? So hearing just these different stories from different people from all over the country, and it's cool to sit and listen to all these different people interact and share their stories. Are that's what helps. Addicts is getting that service work from another addict that is willing to share what's helped them along the way to recovery and sobriety and positivity, so that they can give it away to someone else who needs it. And you never know, man. This weekend might be that your story, the story that you need to hear may be being told this weekend in San Antonio, Texas. So it's a good time to get out to the meetings, and I believe this particular convention is going to be over at the West. I think it's at the Marriott Westin Hotel off of 410 and then I-10, and it's an all weekend thing, man. And they're having meetings and get-togethers and dances and just a whole lot of stuff. Just a big ball of fun for the recovery community, man. And it's great. It's great to be able to have those type of things and that type of fun, and not having to pick up. That's the best part. You know what I mean? So, I thought that, since all of that kind of stuff was happening this weekend, I'm going to get these glasses on because I wanted to read to you something, a story that's in the NA book. This book right here. Let me turn it over here. The Narcotics Anonymous book. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this book, and I'm going to read you a page or two of a story in here that says, "The Good We Do." And this is out of the NA book. Okay, so I'm going to read the story, and because I think it fits it just fits for this weekend, and I just think that this is a pretty interesting story, and it's inspiring. So if you will, just have a seat and grab you something to drink and pay attention, man. Pay attention to this story because this story might be the story that you need to hear, and it's a good thing. So let me get on to reading it, and then we'll go over a little bit afterwards, and I'll share a little bit of how this story I can relate to this story in my journey. So here we go. The good we do. Sometimes I get the distinct feeling that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. That people are put in my life for a reason, and that coincidences and that coincides are, well, not coincides at all. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see this very well. I'm going to start over. Sorry about that. Okay, sometimes I get the distinct feeling that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, that people are put in my life for a reason, and that coincidences are, well, not coincidence at all. Our actions have consequences we can't always see. We'll never know how small efforts will reverberate through the world. Sometimes the smallest selfless act takes on a life of its own and makes a difference in the lives of countless other people. After winding up in a treatment center in my hometown, I went into a halfway house about 1,000 miles away. By the time I left the halfway house, I was a part of the local NA community and had a job, so I stayed. When I was close to 4 years clean, I returned to the city I'd grown up in. I had recently lost my sponsor and knew that I needed a new one to help me through all the stresses and changes of relocation. As luck would have it, an NA convention was being held a few miles away. 1 week after I relocated, I went to the convention hoping to meet new people and perhaps find a sponsor. I didn't know anyone there, felt very alone, and I wasn't having a good time, but I stayed, remembering that my purpose at this convention was to find a new sponsor. Even if I felt alienated, I'd been clean long enough to know that recovery sometimes requires doing things I don't like to do, such as getting to know new people, even if I feel too scared to talk to them. Sometimes I just need to do a little bit of footwork, face a little fear, and hope for the best. My first few years clean had also shown me that those members who are committed to service in NA are often people who have strong recovery. So I went to the workshops on the 12 traditions. At the workshop on the 10 through 12, the second speaker introduced himself as Jim. He had a lot of good things to say. He also seemed vaguely familiar. As I listened, it dawned on me that this might be the same person who had brought a meeting into the treatment center I'd been in. My memories of those first few days clean were fuzzy, so I wasn't sure if he was the guy from 4 years earlier. After the meeting, I approached him. This was intimidating. He had a lot of clean time, and I was already talking to a bunch of other people. And I asked if he had brought a meeting to the treatment center I had been about 4 years earlier. He said yes, and after 4 years, I had the opportunity to thank the nameless guy who'd first carried the message to me. I told him that he was the one who introduced me to NA, that the hospitals and institutions meeting he'd spoken at had made a profound impression on me and helped me to grasp the first step, and that I'd been living clean 1,000 miles away for the past 4 years. Though I hardly knew him, I trusted that we'd been brought together for a reason, and asked him to sponsor me. I'd be honored, he replied. He invited me to join him and some friends for dinner. The more we talked, the more confident I became in my choice of a sponsor. He sponsored me for the next 8 years and served as a model for me in many areas of my life. We remain close today. what were the odds of running into this man during my first week home out of several thousand recovering addicts in the region? How did I wind up in a workshop where he was the speaker? Why was the convention so conveniently held just a few days after I relocated? In a flash, I saw the string of coincidences that led up to the moment. It occurred to me that we never know the good we do. One act of service can make a profound difference, and one addict's good work can ripple outward in ways we can't foresee. There's something magical about that for me, something that helps me continue to believe in a power greater than myself. He didn't know I'd stay clean. He had become a responsible member of society, and I had been carrying the message into hospitals and institutions myself. I was just one of the many addicts he spoke to in the course of a year-long weekly service commitment 4 years before. The full cycle of recovery, one recovering addict helping a newcomer get clean, and that newcomer growing and himself starting to carry the message, had taken place all without his knowledge. Since that moment, I have never doubted that my service efforts are worthwhile. Man, that is a powerful story, you know what I mean? I can relate to that story so freaking, like it's crazy. I too at one point in my life was in a treatment center. And this was my second treatment center. This was back in 2005, and I was over at this treatment center in Comfort, Texas, and it was a Starlight Recovery. Man, that place was just amazing place, and I can remember sitting at the meeting at that at one of the early, one of the first alumni meetings that they had there while I was there. I might have been there for about 8 days or so, and they had on that Saturday they had a guest speaker, and he's an alumni guy, and from Starlight, and he was talking, and he was sharing his story, and man, could I relate to that story, dude? I'm telling you, I felt like this guy had been. I was thinking to myself, God, has this guy been following me or what? Because everything he's saying is exactly he's describing me, and he's describing all these defects of character that I have. He's describing them, all the feelings, all the issues, and just it was just so weird. But I could remember him just spilling his guts out up there on that podium, but being so sincere and so compassionate and so just he was just telling it with conviction, and I just knew that this person was he wasn't faking his story. You know what I mean? There was meaning behind it, and he was, every word that he spoke, he meant it, and I could just remember just sitting there with my hands in my face, and kind of, I didn't want nobody to see the tears coming out of my eyes, and I just had my face in my hands, and I was just like, man, why is this guy so confident? Why is he so happy? If he's everything that he's gone through and everything that he's done, it's exactly the same road, the same things that I'm dealing with. Why is he so happy? What is it that he has that I don't? What's wrong with me? And I made it a commitment that day to, I wanted to follow whatever the heck he was doing, and I did. I did. A lot of the things that he said helped him along the way to get to where he was at that particular point in time in his life. And I decided that day that I was gonna do what he did, and I did. I did. I remember going through the steps and doing the work and sharing it with my sponsor at the time, and it was just, this whole thing that just kind of unfolded. And, because of that gentleman being there that day, he didn't have to be there that Saturday, but something drew him that he had to go that way and share his story. And if it was just for me, I have no idea. If it was for other people there, I don't know. But I know that that story was the story that I needed to hear. And I stayed sober for 10 years after that. You know what I mean? It's just amazing how the freaking thing works. But, I don't know, I don't think that things are coincidences. I think that, things are put in your path, in your life, and you just have to pray and ask your higher power for the wisdom to understand and to know, and to give you that wisdom to be able to recognize that, so that you can grasp that when it happens to you. You know what I mean? And that happened for me. And so it was just great. It's just great, man. So when I heard that they were having that convention here today, I was at on a meeting on Thursday, and I went to a newcomers meeting, and there's a young kid sitting in the back of the room, and he said exactly what that guy said in that book, man. He's like, I only got 2 weeks clean right now, and I'm looking for a sponsor. So I heard there was this convention in town, and I'm gonna go to the sponsor. I'm gonna go to the meetings. I'm gonna go to the kickoff meeting because I want to find a sponsor there. I'm not from San Antonio. I'm from Austin, but I'm here because I want the help. And I was just so freaking just happy for that dude, man. You know what I mean? I really was. I was just like excited for the kid because, he was getting out of his comfort zone. You know what I mean? He was going to these waters that he had never been in before. He doesn't know what's going to happen when he gets there. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that you have to understand, and that you have to be willing to do, is that you have to be hopeful, open-minded, and willing to do the things that you normally don't do, to get into that uncomfortability, to be vulnerable for a minute, so that the program and your higher power, your spirituality starts working the way it needs to. You know what I mean? And so yeah, man, that's a powerful story, in that NA book there. And it was funny because I was like, okay, I heard the kid spoke on Thursday, and then I read that today, and I was like, and then I'm gonna be at the convention tomorrow, so it's just everything's kind of like falling into place, because I was like, I didn't know really what I wanted to talk about today, so I said, you know what, let me just get the book and I start reading it. And the first thing I did, as soon as I opened it, it just happened to land on that page, and I just started reading that, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So that's why I decided to read that little story there from the NA book to you guys, so that you're gonna be encouraged to know that it's okay, man. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be fearful of discovering the unknown. You know what I mean? You have to get out of your comfort zone so that you can put yourself out there and get involved. And when you get involved and you start getting involved with people who are looking for the same thing that you're looking for, and for people that are in the journey that you want to, they're already in that journey, on that road, and you want to get in that road too. You just don't know where to turn in. You know what I mean? You don't know what street to turn in to get on that highway of recovery and positivity. And going to these meetings and going to convention meetings like that, it's a perfect place, man, because you know what? We're all together. We're all the same. You know what I mean? We got all our stories we all know how it feels to, be in that sadness, be in that depression, to be in that nobody loves me type mode, and to be in that stronghold of addiction that you just don't seem to know how to get the hell out, and your world seems to be crumbling down, and everything just, is just a whole negative, dark realm, you know what I mean? And we've all been there, you know what I mean? And some of us are still there. Some of us are still dealing with it. We deal with that stuff on a daily basis. I know I do, you know what I mean? I deal with that stuff on a daily basis, man, and I don't, I'm grateful that today I'm able to have the wisdom to know the difference and how to put my energy into the things that only I can change. You know what I mean? And if I can do something, then I'm going to do it. And I have the willingness and the wisdom to say no today. You know what I mean? I understand that I can say no to the negative realm and set positive boundaries instead of negative ones, and keep my mindset in a positive and spiritual sense instead of in the negativity and in the darkness. So, you have that power to do that. And then the things that you don't, have control over, the things that life throws at you, you don't have to worry about that, because you can just let your higher power take care of that. You know what I mean? Take care of the things that you can, and then when you put yourself and you put positive things in your mind and manifest those positive things, and it'll manifest into a positive action, and you'll start having the healthy boundaries and the positive lifestyle. You know what I mean? It starts getting easier, because if you do this on a repetitive basis, and that's the key, is to keep doing it every single day. You know what I mean? Some of us need to do it, hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day, week for week. You know what I mean? We're all at different levels. But the key is to keep doing it and keep coming back, because it works. It works if you work it. You know what I mean? Book says it rarely have we ever seen anybody, fail if they follow the steps in that book. And, some of us, get to recovery through the 12 steps of the NA program. And some of us get through the steps through a spiritual-based 12-step program. And some of us do it through a, creative, 12-step program. There's different types of it. And but the key is to do it and to keep doing it and involve yourself in a recovery community and get plugged into a recovery community and a faith-based community. With those two things in your life, you'll be unstoppable, man, and you can start helping the addict who still suffers. You know what I mean? That's why I do my podcast, because I feel that if I can get, a story, a true story right here. That when I first started this podcast, I didn't know what to do, how to start it, or what I was going to say or anything. And one of the very first videos that I've ever did, I got a comment, and somebody commented on the video, and I hadn't even had 100 views yet. You know what I mean? And one of my first comments was this guy. He tells me, "Man, thank you very much for sharing your story. I could relate to your story, and thanks for sharing. You helped me out today." And he tells me, "P.S. Just so you know, I'm from Iceland." And I was just blown away. You know what I mean? It's blown away, because in that story he says he heard that guy's message, and that guy who shared the message didn't know the effect of his message until that guy told him. You know what I mean? He helped that guy get 4 years clean and do service work and kept going. You know what I mean? So, if my message can touch somebody and make somebody's day in Iceland, that was enough for me to say, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this, because it was just gratifying, man, and it was humbling, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do that today. You know what I mean? I didn't just one day decide to do it. I don't know. Something just told me that, you know what, maybe you should try that podcast thing out and see where that takes you. And I've been doing it ever since. You know what I mean? So, it's great, and that's why I do it. And so, if at this time, man, if you would just do me a favor and give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, leave me a comment, and please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. All you got to do is touch the subscribe button, and just know that when you do that, you'll be helping out another veteran like myself, another addict like myself, another person dealing with childhood traumatic experiences and PTSDs and drug addiction and, anger and sadness and depression, man. All of those things I deal with. And, by the grace of God and this program that, of Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous and all the 12-based, programs that are out there, I've involved myself in a lot of them. And because of that, in my faith-based community and my higher power, I'm able to be sitting here, doing this video podcast and sharing a message, to the addict who still suffers, and to the person who still, who has clean time. Maybe these videos are a motivator for you to continue your service work, and then maybe if you've dropped out of it, that you'll get back up on the saddle and help somebody out. You know what I mean? Attend a meeting, and do your due diligence by giving away what has helped you to get to that realm of recovery and positivity. So yeah, man, it's just great. It's great to be clean and sober today, and it's great to be able to share a message. You know what I mean? And it means a lot. And so I appreciate you guys watching this episode of When the Smoke Clears. I guess till the next time, I am the Recovery Plug.